Shut up and sit down.
Hey guys, what's up? This is David with Financial Phoenix, and I'm coming to you today because I want to clue you in on one of the hottest sources that you may have in your area for your resale business, whether it's books, general merchandise, a number of different things. If reselling is your niche, this is one of the sources that you're going to want to look into and see if you have in your area. I think a lot of people are leaving a lot of money on the table. So what I want to talk about then is bin stores. Now that they go by a number of different names because they're all kind of individually operated. There's not really big chains of them. But one of the things that's huge right now is return pallets and unboxing pallets to try to flip the items for a profit. And to understand that business, you need to understand a little bit about where those items come from. So typically what's going to happen is you'll either have a large company like Amazon, you'll have something like Target or Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, any of these big chains or big companies. If they have items that they're not able to sell, either because they're customer returns that can no longer be shelf sold because a lot of things once they get returned can't be resold or repackaged. Sometimes the packaging has been damaged, and that's a big thing. Customers aren't going to want to pay retail prices for an item that's been compromised in terms of the packaging, things like that. Those items need to be moved off the shelf, and they need to make room for fresh stock. They don't have time to waste with nickel and diming over old stuff or damaged stuff. So what happens is all of these companies and entities, they all send these return items to liquidation companies. Now, the liquidation company is paying them pennies on the dollar, essentially, for their merchandise to just help them dispose it and get some of their cost back. And then, in turn, those liquidators will often package those items up into pallets, usually by store or by a theme. Sometimes you'll see whole Gaylords of books, the big, watermelon type bins full of books. Those are Gaylords. Or sometimes you'll see general merchandise, electronics, games. DVDs are a real common one. You see bins full of DVDs all the time. And then the liquidators are going to sell these pallets to individuals who are then going to piece them out and try to make a profit off those items. It's kind of like mining for gold, sort of. So there are a couple of different ways you can mine for gold, right? I mean, you can go straight to the vein. That's hard work. You have to get a lot of digging equipment, blasting and stuff. That's a lot of work. Now, you could just go to a, river or creek in your area, and you could dig up some gravel and you could pan that out and see if you get some gold. And that's going to be a lot less overhead, a lot less cost on your part to get started, but your returns probably aren't going to be as big as if you were a mining company, right? I mean, that's the difference. So what we're going to do is we don't want to sink a bunch of money into this. We want to do this on the cheap. So what we're going to do is the resale equivalent of panning at the creek. We're going to go to bin stores. We're going to get return merchandise. We're obviously going to be careful of the condition. We're going to test anything that needs tested, things like that. We're not going to buy anything that's gross and covered with, God knows what goop or, pages are missing out of books, things like that. We're still going to be aware of our item's condition and choose sellable items. But that gives us the opportunity then to sell the customer goods that are highly in demand at a huge discount off the retail price, and we still make a killer profit. So for instance, book selling in particular, I've done really well with the bin stores. I've found tons of books that have been returned, and I've flipped them for 50, 60, 80, 100 I've got a couple of them that are currently at almost $200 a piece. Now, those couple haven't sold just yet, but that's the going rate for them. So what we're doing basically is we're taking advantage of the fact that other people take advantage of return policies. So one thing that happens a lot, especially in the book realm, is students buy their textbooks on Amazon or other platforms, but usually Amazon. It's so big now. And once they don't need the book anymore, they return the item, even though Amazon is supposed to have that return window, that 90-day return window. Often they don't enforce that. They just want the customer to be happy, so they accept the return. And as a seller, a lot of times there's not much you can do about that. Now, granted, anything that's a high enough price, I want shipped back to me or relisted if it's an FBA item. But a lot of people don't go through that trouble. A lot of people, once they've had a problem with an item once or twice, they go ahead and send it to be liquidated, and then it ends up at these bin stores. So I've got a ton of textbooks that I've picked up by going to these bin stores. And the best thing is that they have a sliding scale usually in terms of the price of the items. Some of them don't do that, but most of them do. The one that I have in my area, the items begin at $5 a piece, which is already a good deal for a lot of items. And then as the week progresses, it goes down until on their final day of business for the week before refilling, those items go down to just 50 cents a piece. So I'm paying 50 cents for a textbook that I'm going to then sell for $70. You can't beat that sourcing opportunity. Like that's almost the equivalent of being lazy and going to the creek and expecting to find little tiny flecks. And instead I found a big honking nugget because I knew what to look for. So make sure that you have eBay up on your phone. Make sure that you have the Amazon Seller app up on your phone. If you're a book flipper or you want to become one, get Scout IQ. We'll have a link down below in the description. Follow my link. I get a little bit of a kickback. I really appreciate that. But honestly, Scout IQ has changed our business. So get that if you're going to do books as well. Go in there to the bin stores, start scanning stuff. You may not be able to scan barcodes because they may have return stickers on them. That's common practice. But you can usually scan an item with the visual scanner on the Amazon Seller app, or you can type in what the item is. You can use voice to text on your phone. The people at the bin store probably think that I hear voices in my head because I'm always talking to myself. I have, my AirPods in and just all day long reading off ISBN numbers, reading off UPC numbers, but it works. And you can go into a bin store, especially if it's towards the end of the week, if they scale down their prices like ours does, you might be able to spend $10, $15, maybe even less, and walk out of there with hundreds of dollars of profit. I went the other day and I bought 8 textbooks. Now, granted, it was at the beginning of the week, so I paid up. I paid almost $40 on that day. It was the most I've ever spent there. But for my $40, I brought back $800 in projected profit on these textbooks. And there's more stuff to be had later in the week when that price goes down. The thing is, you can tailor this to your needs. If you go there on the first day of the week and there are really hot items that are going to make you a bunch of money and you don't want them to get sold out from under you, purchase those on the first day, scout the place out, and then as the price goes down through the week, then you can pick up different items depending on your purchase price and depending on what projected profits you have. So what I do, like I said, I get the hot items on the first day, and then on the 50-cent day, what I'm looking for typically are unopened health supplements. They sell really well and they get returned a lot for some reason. Just make sure that you make sure the foil is intact on the top of it. Just open that top lid and just make sure it's sealed. Or if it's already got a integrity seal, you're good to go. I look for things like K-cups. They sell, a lot of times the cases of K-cups get returned, so that's a hot buy as well. You can get those for cheap. Books, of course, that's my bread and butter. Can't say enough about selling books, how cheap it is and how good the profit margins are. We made $1,500 this week just selling books. So, that's definitely where we live in terms of our niche. But there's just tons of items. There's shoes. There's clothing. There's kitchen items, small appliances. You name it, you can find it. And that's kind of the best part about going. Not only can you make a bunch of profit, but it's a treasure hunt every single time because you have no idea what's going to be there. You just go in, load it up with all your apps, and you figure out some way to make your day, make your week, make your money reselling. And it teaches you to be a better reseller because then you get an open mind about things. You start researching anything interesting, anything odd, anything that stands out to you. And that's how that's how I found some of my best items. My highest profit items I've ever found are usually things I know nothing about. But that trips a trigger in my head. If I don't know anything about this, it could be a $1,000 item. It could be a $2 item. And just by taking a moment and doing some research, you can put hundreds of dollars in your pocket. So be curious, use your tools, get Scout IQ if you're going to sell books, and follow our videos, of course, if you're going to sell books in particular. We highly suggest that route. And just get out there and make some money, have some freedom, some control over your life instead of going and punching a time clock and being wherever, the boss says you have to be all day long. Get out, see some sights, maybe have some good food along the way. Maybe make it a nice trip if you go with your significant other or your kids. You can make it a family thing or you can make it a couples thing. I know that we both like making money. We both like finding deals. So that's actually a really fun outing for us when we get a chance to do it together. And, use resale platforms to give you freedom and to give you financial flexibility. Because even though we're not where we want to be yet, we are in an unbelievable position considering everything that we've gone through, everything with the global health situation, all these things going on around us. It's an absolute hurricane of negativity, but yet we can be where we want to be when we want to be there. We can spend time with our kids. We get some control over our life and our finances, and we know that our hard work is actually paying off when we see our deposits, as opposed to going to a 9-to-5 job and the most that your hard work might get you is a pat on the back or maybe a certificate or a plaque, but you're not getting paid more money. The people that make it are the people that make it happen. So get out there, scan some stuff, find a way to make an extra $100 today, and just keep building from there. It just starts with one flip and it gets addicting. And before you know it, your silly little hobby going to thrift stores and reselling is paying your mortgage. So get out there and do it. I know you can because we're doing it. So we know that anybody can do it. Seriously, go do it. If you're still watching me, you should have closed this and started doing it by now. Go make some money. Bye.
Shut up and sit down.